Today, we'll be telling you all about the latest updates of Elon Musk's company, Neuralink. Can humanity be taken one step closer to uniting with artificial intelligence? What exactly is Neuralink doing? And how can they revolutionize the way we deal with AI? Stick around to find out more. Elon Musk and 8 people from a consortium of neurology, biochemistry, and robotics professionals created Neuralink in 2016. The trademark Neuralink was bought from its former owners in January 2017. In April 2017, Neuralink said that it intended to create devices to cure significant brain illnesses in the short term, with the sole objective of human improvement, sometimes known as transhumanism. Musk stated that his interest in the notion arose in part of the science fiction concept of neural lace in the fictional setting of The Culture, a series of 10 books by Ian M. Banks. Musk described the neural lace as a digital layer above the brain that would ideally be implanted through a vein or artery rather than requiring major surgical implantation. The long-term objective, according to Musk, is to develop symbiosis with AI technologies, which he sees as an existential danger to humanity if left uncontrolled. Neuralink is based in San Francisco's Mission District, sharing the Pioneer Building with OpenAI, another Musk-founded firm. In 2018, Neuralink named Jared Birchall, the head of Musk's family office, as CEO, CFO, and president. Musk was the primary owner of Neuralink as of September 2018. However, he was not on the board of directors. According to an article in Stat News, just 3 of the 8 original scientists remained at Neuralink in August 2020, after years of internal turmoil in which push schedules battled with slow and incremental pace of science. After receiving the latest technological implants, Elon Musk's brain chip business recently produced a film showing a monkey playing a simple video game. A male macaque who goes by Pager with chips implanted on either side of his brain plays MindPong in a 3-minute video from Neuralink. The usage of a joystick was taught to him, but it is now unplugged. He merely thinks about moving his hand up or down to control the paddle. Scientists welcome the engineering advancement in making the implant wireless and increasing the number of implanted electrodes, even though similar technology has existed since 2002, when a study group first exhibited a monkey manipulating a computer cursor with brain impulses. Max Hodak, the company's co-founder and president, announced his departure in May 2021. In simpler words, Elon wants to put a chip in your brain. As bizarre as it sounds, you might want to hear us out and save all your judgments for the end. Elon Musk's most sci-fi idea to date was announced in 2019, a computer chip coupled to extremely thin cables with electrodes on them, all of which is designed to be implanted in a person's brain by a surgical robot. The implant would communicate with a computer through a wireless connection to a tiny behind-the-ear receiver. Musk thinks that the implant developed by his brain-computer interface company Neuralink would one day allow quadriplegics to manage cell phones and even provide them telepathy. It would gather electrical impulses given out by the brain and interpret them as actions, similar to existing brain-machine interfaces. Neuralink has previously tested an early wired version of this implant in rats, and as stated earlier in the video, it has also allowed a monkey to control a computer with his brain. Musk stated that human trials might begin by the end of next year, even though the business does not currently have FDA permission for such research. It should be noted that Musk, who is also the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, whose latest creations have been making their way into the news quite often nowadays, has a history of making outrageous technological promises. For example, in a recent interview, he stated that sending people to Mars in 4 years sounds realistic to him. Scientists who have spent years and years developing this technology are excited by Neuralink's promise of a brain-connected gadget that appears like a hearing aid and might be hidden with hair or a hat. Indeed, according to several specialists, Neuralink might be a godsend for people with illnesses like quadriplegia in the future years, enabling improved independence and moving potentially life-changing technology out of the lab and into the real world. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to like this video so that more people can get to know about the Neuralink update and subscribe to our channel for more of these videos. Now, let's continue. The concept of a brain-machine interface is not new. Research efforts have focused on it for decades, and it has been installed and tested in both humans and animals. There is some FDA-approved deep brain stimulation equipment for attempting to control tremors in Parkinson's disease patients, as well as several technology companies who have started working on their own methods for connecting the brain to computers. Facebook, for example, has worked on a non-invasive device that allows you to send text messages by thinking. However, for various reasons, these efforts are typically limited to laboratories. They're pricey, cumbersome, need training for both the user and the computer, and in the case of an under-the-skull implant, the person wearing it must be physically attached to the computer for it to function. Virginia Desa, a professor at the University of California, San Diego, who studies brain-computer interfaces, said, "Several of Neuralink's ideas sound very promising, such as using very fine wires to implant electrodes in the brain." She said, "The thinner the wires, the less damage they'll do to the brain, and hopefully, the longer they'll last." Schwartz sees promise in the Neuralink's architecture, especially its intentions to miniaturize implant components, make it wireless, and enhance electrode technology. He feels that the wireless portion is critical, adding that obtaining FDA permission for such an implant entails a risk evaluation, and the riskiest parts of today's brain-computer interfaces involves a connection that comes through the patient's skin to connect the implant to a computer. During the presentation, Neuralink president Max Hodak stated that the company's goal for its initial product includes the ability to manage mobile devices and a keyboard or mouse. However, he acknowledged that these are ambitions for the time being. It doesn't sound absurd though. Schwartz has previously worked on devices that allow paraplegic individuals to pick up things with a robotic hand and even receive sensory input. He imagines that a person with a severe handicap who is implanted with a device like the one described by Neuralink may become considerably more autonomous in the future. A disabled person, for example, would still be seated in a wheelchair, he added, but they would be able to operate it with their minds rather than a joystick, and even control a prosthetic limb attached to the chair. It appears to be less complicated than the way people receive implants now. Essentially, the skull is sliced open, the brain is exposed, chips are inserted, connectors are attached to the skull, and the head is sewed up. However, implanting a device beneath the skull will still be brain surgery. Neuralink admits that it will still need to bore a hole in your head. For example, when Natalia Kosmina, a postdoctoral associate at the MIT Media Lab, saw the part of the presentation where Neuralink president Max Hodak mentioned that the implant is meant to be controlled with an iPhone app, she was taken aback. She pointed out that someone hacking into such an app could be far more dangerous than, say, hacking into your bank account. Neuralink demonstrated a rudimentary coin-sized gadget characterized as the most recent prototype. In 2020, Musk compared it as a Fitbit in your head with small cables from the chip during a demonstration on a pig. Musk has a history of over-promising and under-delivering and has previously set a timescale for Neuralink implanting its chips in humans. So, in conclusion, this chip, if executed well, could absolutely change so many lives. This technology is definitely something you would have thought about while sitting on your couch in 2002, but none of us really expected this to come true. You might have been really skeptical about this at first, but we hope all your doubts have been cleared after watching this video. Make sure you comment below on what you think about the brain chip by Neuralink. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.